Hi, I'm Tyler Ferrell and welcome to Golf Smart Academy. In this video, I'm going to help you figure out how you can best utilize this site. Now I find that most golfers come to this site with one of two different philosophies. Either you have a specific problem that you're trying to solve. Let's say you're hooking the ball or slicing the ball or topping the ball or hitting your irons fat. Whatever that is, if you have a specific problem to solve, that's a little different than just, you know what, I'm a student of the game, I love learning about this stuff, I want to continue to be a lifelong learner of the golf swing, and I want some science-based ways to understand what's supposed to happen, whether it's set up or during the backswing or during the downswing. Those are two different schools of thought, and neither one is right nor wrong. But we have a lot of videos on this site, and so I want to help you learn to navigate it as simply as possible. So regardless of which approach you're using, the first step is you want to get really clear with reading feedback. You have to learn to read feedback and you have to learn to set clear objectives or expectations of what you're trying to accomplish. So clear feedback helps you if you don't know how to read ball flight, or if you hit it thin, what does that mean? Or if you hit it fat, what does that mean? If you shank the ball, what are some of the likely reasons, or what would the club be doing in order to create that situation? I've what I call my foolproof recipe, which is essentially you want to figure out what the club is doing, you want to figure out what you want the club to do differently, you'll strategize on how the body can do that differently, and then you experiment with different drills, whether they are feel drills or visual drills or tempo drills, at-home training drills, whatever it is. You experiment with drills to get the body to do what you want to do so that the club does something differently. And because you know how to read feedback at this point, you'll be able to identify if you're doing it correctly. So step one, read the feedback. Step two, figure out what the club is doing. Step three, figure out what you want to do differently with the club. Step four, figure out how the body can do that differently. And then the last step is, once you have a drill or two or three that helps you train how to do it differently, you just got to put in reps and monitor your progress with feedback. Eventually what ends up happening is people come up with a recipe of, let's say, 2 to 5 drills, where if I ever get lost, I do these drills and I can get that area of my swing back on track. That's my foolproof recipe for improving whatever you're doing with the club, and it really fits into either of the two categories of whether you're trying to just solve one specific issue or trying to be take the long-term approach of building your version of the stock tour swing. So once you have a clear understanding of feedback and objective, and what you're trying to do, the next step is to identify, are you trying to solve one issue, or are you trying to just learn about the swing from more of a holistic perspective using golf science? So if it's the first, if you're just trying to solve one specific issue, I highly recommend contacting us. Send us a question or submit your swing. That way we can isolate and pinpoint what drills or what fundamentals are going to have the biggest impact on your game and help you solve that question quickly. Because if you're not quite sure, it's easy for you to start chasing a setup or start working on your setup if really you have a release problem or if you have a sequencing problem. So we don't want you to waste too much time trying to find the answer. Now, if you are more of the lifelong learner and you're trying to learn how to self-coach or manage your golf game for the years to come, to be a really good student of the game so you no longer get tricked by poor information. The real key is to take inventory of your game and prioritize what you want to work on. At some point, if you're working on a golf swing, you're going to work on setup, you're going to work on the takeaway, you're going to work on the setting the club or the full backswing, you're going to work on transition, you're going to work on the release, and you're going to work on going through into the finish. And if you understand how these pieces fit together, whatever piece you're working on, if you're working on things that are going to move your swing in the right direction, then you're ultimately making progress. So your goal is, while you're going through these videos, to try and understand how things in the backswing affect the downswing and how things in the downswing affect your setup, and basically how the whole picture of the stock tour swing fits together. That way you'll be able to, while reading the feedback, you'll be able to figure out which of the pieces really are the most important for you. Some people hone in on transition, and if they have a great transition, everything takes care of itself. Other people need more of a good follow-through or release. You'll figure out which ones are important to you by experimenting with the different ones as you go through each section. But I can't stress enough, your goal in each section is to understand how they all fit together to create this unified movement that's a golf swing. So whether you are a competitive golfer trying to play for a living, or a lifelong learner who's just passionate about golf, or if you're a coach and you just want to know the science behind each of these sections, and you want some additional drills or ways that you could experiment with training the movements that you know, I hope that you find the content in the site extremely beneficial. In the next video, I'm going to show you how the site was designed to be used to help you find the answers to your questions as quickly as possible.